when I was introduced to Relive, I'd actually been praying about an additional, how to generate a few $100s for the home. I was homeschooling all my children, and I really felt very strongly that music was needed to be part of their curriculum, but I didn't teach music, and I needed some additional income so that I could put them all in music lessons. Well, I didn't quite know how I was going to do that without leaving the home, and I absolutely was committed to homeschooling. So along came Relive, and I looked straight in the gentleman's face and said, there is nothing wrong with me. But I started hearing stories of people getting results from literally things I'd never heard of. But what really caught my attention was as they were getting better from what they had suffered for so long, they were making an income. And I thought, well, I'm a bulk buyer, so I wanted to get the most amount of product for the least amount of money because I didn't have a lot of time, and I wanted to make the most amount of money for the little bit of time I had. Well, I was told, do not wait for your own results before you share it because you can't test it for everything. And it was great advice. And as soon as we got the product, everybody in the family got on the product, and in 30 days, everybody in the family had results from different things. But I saw nothing. I literally saw nothing changed with me. But to my delight, in my mailbox was a return on my investment and a profit of over $400, which was more than what I needed for music lessons. Mm-hmm. So I was absolutely pleased. On the other hand, people who I'd introduced it to who'd had results in those 30 days, life-changing results, were really grateful, and I was spurred on to just keep building. And 4.5 months after I was introduced to Relive and started taking the product consistently and correctly, that's when my husband pointed out that I wasn't limping anymore, and he asked me, how is your Achilles tendonitis? Well, I had forgotten I had Achilles tendonitis. I had adjusted my life so I had no pain because 2 years earlier, an orthopedic surgeon said, until you have surgery, nothing can be done. And I was adamant about not being cut on. He gave me pain meds that didn't even touch the pain, but what did make a difference was me not moving. I quit going to the gym. I quit going on long walks that we did for science for our homeschool. I just, anything that caused pain, I stopped doing. So I had also stopped going up and down the stairs of my house. It was just too painful. And here, 4.5 months later, I couldn't even remember what leg was supposed to hurt. I was so excited. I ran up and down the stairs. I hadn't been up and down for a very long time. No pain. I thought, this is awesome. I have a story. But, fast forward. Now, that was 12 years ago. I was introduced to Relive 12 years ago, and in the course of the time of that $400 profit, it's grown to be $5,600 in a month, pretty consistently. And but what I'm really thrilled to share is that 8 years after I'd started Relive, I started running. I didn't return to running. I just started running thinking, well, it's something I could do for good exercise. And 10 years from almost the date that I started Relive, I ran my first marathon, 10 years older, and I was doing something I had never been able to do even in my 20s. And I was substantially older than that. A little younger than you, Leslie, but older. Just very quickly, and I absolutely love Relive for that. One thing, and Relive is, like you said, Relive is not a cure, and it doesn't make us invincible either, because 6 years after I'd been on the product consistently and correctly, I contracted MRSA. And it is not the flesh-eating disease, but it is a multiple resistant extreme staph infection, basically. And what happened was I had contracted it through having an accident whereby I had cut my head open, and I needed stitches. But a month later, MRSA was pervasive in my bloodstream, and I developed a cyst. I had a surgery, but as soon as I had seen what I thought was a spider bite, it was actually the MRSA infection. I started taking more shakes. I was taking as many as 9 shakes a day, and on the West Coast, we call them shakes. On the East Coast, they're called double shakes. So and from the time I was diagnosed with MRSA to the time I was released from the hospital without any infection in my blood, and I was supposed to be a lifelong carrier, was a total of 8 days. I give all the credit to Relive, because what Relive did was it fueled my body so that so my body was in prime condition where the very strong antibiotic that was being put in me intravenously could target the MRSA. Boom! I am MRSA free, and I have been now for 4 years. At any rate, I just wanted to say that Relive is doesn't make us invincible, but boy, is it great. It's better than anything. I absolutely love Relive. I love what it does. I love the business. I love sharing it, because how can you affect people positively, both physically and financially? There's nothing else.
Absolutely. That is such a great story, Louise. And yes, it does have a lot of resonances with me, because I agree with you. It doesn't make you invincible. I actually had skin cancer crop up after 9 years on the products. But my oncologist actually told me that had I not got a little bit lax about how many shakes I was taking a day, it probably would never have shown itself. But suffice to say, I took 6 triple shakes a day. And
there you go. Wow.
And then it just went away. And he monitored me for 2 years, and I had absolutely no treatment whatsoever, and I have no skin cancer on my face.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Praise God.
I've still got my nose. And my upline, Joe Felger, says, it calls me No Nose Probart, just to remind me not to take fewer shakes. So there you go. That is such an uplifting story, and I'm sure that there will be people listening that will relate to so many different things that you have mentioned. And isn't it great that you started off with one goal, which was to pay for those music lessons, and look where it took you. And there's so much we can all do with an income. Yeah. I mean, people think that income doesn't always, it's not always necessary, but you never know what crops up and what people need in the future. And it's always nice to have a cushion of income coming in. And it makes the world go round, keeps roofs over our heads, and pays the food bills. So, there's nothing wrong with money.
Income is important.
Go on, Louise. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's just, I agree with you. We need money. But a side benefit is that after all that, as a result of Relive, I have one of my children is a professional musician and teaches music because of those music lessons.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that awesome?
That is really good. Well, my first goal in network marketing was to buy 3 pairs of shoes for my children who were only 3 years apart, 3 of them, on one day. And I certainly surpassed that in the first month in the industry. But nobody's gone on to be a cobbler. Although both the girls like shoes, so I suppose that could be a trade-off for that. But anyway, I'm sure I've rabbited on long enough. I'm going to hand over back to Joni, because she's going to take the rest of the call over. And just to say that we will be back next week with another call. So remember to come on and bring people with you. I have sent out the country call list this week so that people who know people in other places can actually give them numbers that they can dial in from locally. So it's good that we can have people from all over the world. So with no more ado, I'm going to hand back to Joni, and it's been a pleasure to have you in our business, Joni, and we really enjoy being your sponsor and helping you grow your business, especially the business that's over here, because it's easy for us to help you too. So off you go.
Well, yeah, well, our friendship is something that's very special and not one of the things we ever would have imagined 7 years ago before we even knew each other. So, you know, just how important we'd be in each other's lives. But, yeah, shoes, my gosh, that was one of the things I wanted to do with my first paycheck too, ladies. Shoes, shoes, shoes. It's all about the shoes. But anyway, you know, the interesting thing in the last story and the next story and the final story is something that you're going to hear in common, that these people are all athletically inclined. You know, you just heard that Louise started running and running marathons, you know, at a part of her life where most people would say, you know, start to go into a rocking chair. And this is just giving her back her youth and vitality. But the thing is, you've heard two amazing stories already, but not everybody takes this because they're sick. You know, a lot of people take it because they actually are well, they want to stay well, or maybe something pops up later in their life, but a lot of them are athletes who just want the top performance, and actually there's just something happening right here in the U.S. I don't know if everybody knows about it, but there's one of our Relive distributors named Marsha Flegel, has a son named Josh Flegel, who right now this week, he's been a Relive baby since he was, oh my goodness, since he was a baby. And he is a swimmer, and this week he will find out if he has made it onto the U.S. Olympic teams as a swimmer, and he has done that, all this, with the good nutrition of Relive. So that's super exciting. I know we're all excited for Josh. But I'd like to go to another athlete over here. He is a cyclist. Just an incredible story, and we are just so privileged to have him on. Steve, if you'd like to get on and share what has happened with you. I know you've had quite a journey over here.
Many journeys, actually, since I've been on the products. It's always a pleasure to be on this call, and I'm grateful to hear everybody else's story. Thanks for having me. My name is Steve Sullivan. I live in Pocatello, Idaho, out in the Rocky Mountains, and I discovered Relive kind of by accident 22 years ago when a friend I competed with called me by accident to tell my roommate about Relive, and I intercepted that call, and I've been on the products ever since. And he said, I found a competitive edge, and that was what got my interest. I had been winning just about every race I entered for the last couple of years, and I wanted to continue that. So it was kind of self-motivated that I just wanted to continue my streak, and I wasn't sick, and I wanted to stay healthy, and I thought I was healthy until I started taking the products. And it showed me after just within the first week that I had been dealing with chemical poisoning from my job. I was a sign maker, and over the course of several years had gotten the chemicals in my system through my skin, through breathing, etc. And I was losing my balance. I wasn't sleeping well. I had headaches. I had chronic sinus infections, had really high stress levels. And all that started going away. I started sleeping better. I haven't had headaches now for probably 20 years or more. It's been wonderful that way. You know, I think pretty much every day that I'm really very grateful my friend told me about Relive, because what I do to myself on a consistent basis is not something that other 56-year-old people and men do. I still play really hard. I'm retired from competition, but if I get the opportunity, I'll surely enter a race. But I stay at a very top fit level, and Relive really helps me do that. I don't suffer from anything that most of my peers are dealing with, and I see them on rides, and I see them socially, and they're always complaining about stuff, and I tell them about Relive, but I don't deal with those things. And what's happened to me over the course of 22 years, I've had fractures, concussions, hyperextensions, lacerations, abrasions to very high degrees, broken ribs, cracked hip, cracked femur, all these things. And the first thing I noticed about the changes that happened with Reliv for my body was my blood started clotting quicker. I hurt myself in a race, and I looked down and I saw the blood was darker and richer in color than it had ever been before, so that told me it's carrying more oxygen, so there was a visual improvement there, but the blood worked better, and that was how Reliv was designed, is to work in the bloodstream. And so that was a significant eye-opener for me, and it stayed consistent all these years. I had not had problems with injuries, taking very long to heal. I healed as quick as I did probably in my teens, and that's just something that just doesn't usually happen as you age. Staying on the Reliv products competitively, my recovery times are probably cut in half, and that meant a lot because I was working a lot and didn't have a lot of leisure time to just sit around and recover. So I was on the go all the time. Was also a professional musician at that time, so I was kind of burning the candle on both ends. And a lot of friends saw, how do you keep doing all this? And I just said, it's this stuff I'm taking. And that's created a business, which I'll get to in a bit. But after about 12 years on the products, I knew that my immune system was stronger. I wasn't getting colds anymore. I wasn't getting flus anymore. The chronic sinus infections went away. Just a lot of little things that most people wouldn't notice, but at the 12-year mark, something happened to me, a couple of things happened that were life-changing. One was I got West Nile virus. That dropped me very hard. There's no cure for it. There's nothing they can do to treat it, really. And I just went to bed and took my Reliv products, lost all smell and taste, and within 4 to 8 weeks after I got over the West Nile virus, which only took about 5 weeks, and I was back on my bike like it never even happened, about 4 to 8 weeks later, I can't remember exactly, all my smell and taste came back. So I had no lingering nerve damage from that at all. So it's been 10 years now, no nerve problems. I thought everything was fine. And then 2 months after I got over West Nile virus, I destroyed 2 discs in my back, and life came to a screeching halt. I was in pain 24/7. I had numbness from my right earlobe all the way down to my right toes. I couldn't work. I couldn't play music. I couldn't hold tools. I had just gotten married, and because of my attitude over the pain, my wife was going to move out until I got it figured out. And the same day she told me that, the doctor said, I can't do anything for you. You're going to have to see a surgeon. Well, I had met people in Reliv that had similar issues, and they got through them. I'm like, what am I doing that's not working? Because for 2 months I was dealing with this issue. And I talked to those people, and I just simply wasn't taking enough product for my body to repair. So I started taking 7 to 9 servings of Arthefect a day. And within 2 months, my issue completely resolved. My back problem has not been a problem for over 10 years. I porter for an international mountaineering company. I work for a guiding company in the Teton Mountains of Idaho and Wyoming. I carry heavy packs. I recreate with heavy backpacks. I have no back problems. I spend hours riding my bicycle bent over. I have no back problems, and it's really great. So life was really good after that until the next summer when I blew out both my rotators at the same time. And I remembered, take more product. And within about 6 weeks, I'm in the mountains, hanging by my fingertips, climbing mountains with no shoulder issues. So the lesson for me was, if you have an issue, take more product, let the body repair itself. And it's just been fabulous. I just did, at the end of May, I did a 1,000-mile very hard bicycle trip with a fully loaded bicycle. I was doing up to 145 miles a day through rain and hail and wind, something that most people my age would not attempt to do. But I rode to my where I grew up in eastern Montana and shot rodeo pictures for 4 days. So I was running around an arena trying to get away from animals and cowboys, and then I rode back home, which took 5 days. So, it's just given me a quality of life that I can stay active and healthy and not deal with the adverse effects of aging and destruction. And I still ride really fast and really hard, and when I screw up, I hit the ground and stop very quickly, and I hurt something. But the repair rate is so fast with Relive, and my body stays toned more and fit better than it used to. It's just something that really boggles my mind for being this age, to not have to deal with those things. And
Steve, you are such an inspiration. I'll tell you that your story is so varied and so amazing. I know we actually have some people, a handful of people on this call who are cyclists and athletes, and I know that this has to have given them so much hope about improved performance and everything else. So my goodness, what a story, Steve. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us.
You're very welcome.
It's always a joy. It's always a joy to have you on. And oh my goodness, well, keep on cycling over there. Keep on moving.
Will do.
Okay, thanks a million, Steve. Your story was amazing. Next, another amazing person that is going to wrap up the call over here. She's actually a really good friend of mine from over here in the Detroit area. And we've just gotten to be really good friends and support each other. Her story's amazing. But when I first started in Relive, I remember her getting to the front of the room and sharing her story about how her business was, she was actually responsible for a lot of the growth that started Relive in France. And anybody who also knows me would know that I don't like to do things typically, and as most people, just kind of like Jennifer. And when I heard what she did, I thought, oh my goodness, well, that's what I want to do one day. I want to be like Jennifer and go somewhere unusual and start Relive over there. And that's kind of happening with me over in Northern Ireland. But Jennifer, you were a great inspiration with that. So if you could share with everybody what your Relive journey has been for you and your family, that'd be great.
Oh, I'd love to. My name is Jennifer Weaver. I live in Bloomfield Township near the Detroit area here in Michigan. And Joni, I have to say that you have definitely achieved that. I mean, we are for sure on that train of growing our international businesses. So welcome aboard, and I'm so excited to see where it takes us next. But and thank you for having me on the call. I feel really honored and excited to be on this international call. I hear people from all over the place, and that's just so thrilling that we can bring everybody together from all these different continents and meet on this call and sharing all these wonderful results and this exciting opportunity. But I was introduced to Relive 11 years ago, and I was looking for something for my son because he had a lot of upper respiratory issues. He would get a cold, and it would just immediately turn into something worse, usually a secondary infection, so a lot of sinus infections, ear infections, but mostly bronchitis. And the bronchitis wouldn't just last for a week or two. It was a lingering cough for months. It was terrible. And it really disrupted our whole family life because he wasn't sleeping, we weren't sleeping, and that just creates for a not very happy family dynamic. So my mom, who's a nurse, suggested that I try and find something that could help boost his immune system. So I started that search and really felt like I was on the right path when I started looking for some nutritional supplements and was introduced to Relive. We were living overseas at the time in Norway. And when we got back, that's when I found Relive. And I was really intrigued by the fact that there were no warning labels on it and that it was plant-based. I really loved the philosophy and the integrity of the company and the products. And I felt very safe giving them to my kids. My son at the time was 6.5, and my daughter was not even quite 2. And was very comfortable giving them these supplements, this additional nutrition to help really just make up for the difference of what they weren't getting off their plates, which is it's a tall order these days, trying to get everything that you need, even when you try and have your own garden and everything. But, getting that off your plate is not always easy. So it's a wonderful way just to make up that difference and bridge that gap between what we need and what we actually get. And really because of the results that our family got, I just really had a hard time not sharing with people around, because you would talk to everybody and they had it was always an issue of health or maybe financial. And it took me a little while, but I finally realized that I had a solution for both of those things. And when I was introduced to Relive, my background is actually in marketing and finance. And when I was introduced to Relive, though, I was running a fitness studio in the Birmingham area, which is not far from us here and Joni. And interestingly, I started to earn more with Relive than I did my studio. And so I made the decision to sell the studio several years ago. And the month that I did, I earned almost $8,000 with Relive, which was amazing to me because I truly understood the value of these products and what a difference it was making for people everywhere. And especially, I love that you're talking, everybody's talking so much about prevention because I really think that's the key. If we, as many things as we can prevent as we age. And Leslie, I love what you said about being retired but not tired, because that is my goal. I want to stay healthy and fit. And I'm a runner and I do a lot of yoga. I'm outside all the time, hiking, whatever I can do. I really enjoy doing that. I went for a great swim today, live near a lake. It's amazing just to have that, like Steve was saying, to just as we age and still be able to do these amazing things where we feel like we're doing something epic every single day is a wonderful feeling. But when I sold my company and I earned that income, I really then understood the value of the opportunity that I had too. So when I sold my studio, it allowed me to have more time to be able to really focus and really work on this as a business and do it very intentionally. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 11 years. My son graduated high school this year, and from first grade to 12th grade, I have been there for him. And I always tease and say, I'm not sure how thrilled he has been about that, but I am absolutely over the moon that I've been able to do that. And I have a daughter that's 13, so we have 4 more years until she's out of high school, and I plan to be there for all of that too. But it's been an amazing adventure. Like you said, Joni, I had a neighbor literally in my backyard, and I joke about that too because there's a longtime ambassador in Chicago, Tom Moody, who always used to say, build in your backyard, and I tease that I literally did that because she literally was in my backyard. And we got to be friends, and I introduced Relive to her, and she's very entrepreneurial, and she immediately saw the value of what Relive had to offer her because she moved around all the time and had already had to let go of several businesses and or just shut them down. And the idea of being able to have something portable was just, she was so excited. So we went to work and learned everything. She learned everything she could about the business and really got a foothold here in the U.S. before she did move back to France and took the products with her. And France wasn't even an open country at the time, so it was interesting logistically, but she had a vision and I had a vision, and we just didn't stop. And we were able to open the country about 2.5 years ago, so France is officially open and is now the number 2 market. Europe, just in general, is just growing like crazy on so many of the areas. And it's really just been an honor and a privilege for me to get to know and to work with people all over the world. I've traveled to Australia recently and went to a Tuesday night opportunity meeting where they were just sharing the hope and the opportunity of Relive. And I knew a lot of the people that were there from our international conferences. So it was just like going home and seeing family. Everywhere I go, I just pop in and I'm welcomed, and it's just an amazing feeling. And I'm so grateful that I not only had the opportunity to grow my business internationally, but that I was open-minded enough about something that was really different for me and something that I didn't know a lot about to really take the time and find out about it, because I never would have had the time that I've had with my kids. I wouldn't have traveled like I have had the opportunity to. My kids are educated differently. We travel differently. And all of those things are really thanks to Relive. And so I will be forever grateful.
Wow, Jennifer, what a great story. You are very inspirational. And, you know, the thing is that Jennifer, Leslie, myself, you know, and everybody who's been on this call, we're just people, you know, just like you, you know, we're all the same. But the thing that has pushed us to this is just that we had a heart to help others. And really, we're focused on making some changes in our life. And I know that that's how a lot of people on this call feel. And I just want you to know, truly, anything is possible. You will get better health. That's a given with Relive. But you know what? Everybody who's on this call has no idea how their life is going to change and the journey that this will take them on. So I want to thank everybody. This was a fabulous call. Leslie,